What? All right, so we're going to go ahead and kick it off. So my name is Dr. Margarita Hernandez. I'll be emceeing here tonight. We've got some awesome and kick-ass pitches to be presenting today. And I've been meeting some of these people. Pretty excited for what we got. Moving forward. Oh. You good? Okay. Oh, that changed drastically. So, per our usual, we have 5 minutes worth of pitch, and then we transfer from that to 5 minutes of questions from the audience. So, feel free to ask questions. I'll have both. It's 2 microphones this time. So, pitchers will actually have their own microphone, and then as we have questions from the audience, I'll definitely be putting this out there. Let's see. Next slide. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's our schedule. Yeah. Now, we're not going to do the sign up, right? We don't put the QR code. We didn't need it. All right, awesome. So they don't need to do that. So without further ado, most of the time coming together is great, but it's even better when you have some amount of lubrication and a place to look forward to as far as the bar and then networking with all the others. We appreciate Varnum for taking over the sponsorship for today's meeting, but I also wanted to give him a few minutes to kind of do a shout out to the community. So Matt, where are you? Hey. I think what's important to also point out before he talks, I want to give you this remote, is it's one thing to be a founder, but it's one thing to be stuck in a pickle. Varnum has definitely been there for a multitude of founders in the community, and so we greatly appreciate all the work that you do. But the other thing is you're also on the board of TechTown. Is this true? This is the other smart zone that's supporting tech companies out in Detroit, and they were pretty excited to have you. I'm really excited that you're in that role, so I appreciate all the good work that you're doing. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, everybody. I sponsored, or was one of the sponsors for the very first A2NewTech in 2009, February. Doug Song asked me if I could pay for beverages, and I brought a case of water from Costco. And today, I bought drinks. So it's good to see that both A2NewTech and I are doing quite well. So enjoy, and enjoy the presentations.
Thanks, Matt. Okay. So we have, I know it's usually 3 or 4 pitches, but it's 5, if I'm understanding that. So we will stick to 5 minutes and cut you off, or I will be cutting you off at that point, and then 5 minutes of questions. After that, it's basically we're going to have to kind of go a little bit quicker than usual. But you've been forewarned that I'm basically going to pull you off at that point if you don't keep to that timing. But I will be keeping time. All right, so for our first company, we have Komoot. Oh. And you bought assets.
We did.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love hardware. That mic, unless you want to borrow this, and then we can swap out, whichever you think is easier. Because I don't know if you're going to go visit your...
I'm pretty animated, so
all right, let's do
wireless. All right. All right. All right. I think we can hear me. So my name is Peter Deppie. I actually need the clicker. That works too. All right, my name's Peter Deppie. I am the founder and CTO of Komoot, a Flint, Michigan-based company where essentially we manufacture the Tesla supercharger, but for anything smaller than an electric car. And so right now, especially with COVID, e-bike and e-scooter adoption is crazy. You can see people riding scooters that are personally owned, seeing e-bikes that are shared and rentable across many cities, campuses, really across the country and across the world. But there's really a big problem with these scooters, especially the shared and rentable ones, is there's a lot of clutter. They're kind of everywhere, they're thrown everywhere, and maybe a couple of you have tried these scooters and you seem to just dump them at the end of your ride, which, that's what they're there for in some cases. But we are partnering with those companies and working with personally owned vehicles to provide a safe, dedicated space where they can end up, and it's not a tripping hazard, and we're trying to end scooter clutter, long story short. And again, we're essentially the Tesla supercharger but for anything smaller than an electric car. So you can think scooters, e-bikes, wheelchairs, delivery robots, and more. Whatever new form factor of what's called micromobility comes out, we're looking to be able to park and charge. And our, again, our vision is to be universal for all of these different form factors because everyone has a different ability and need for mobility, and that's what we want to be able to be here and support. And sorry for the dark background, it doesn't show up too well. But again, the multimodal approach to the many vehicles, and with that multimodal approach, there are a ton of vehicles, as I alluded to earlier. There's supposed to be 130 million micromobility vehicles out on the road by 2028 here in the US. That's not even worldwide. And we're looking to sell our charging hubs to locations. Typically, that's a corporate campus, a university campus, luxury apartments, hotels, resorts. Those are typically our customers. And again, just to give some fun graphics to those different areas of who we typically target as our customer. Another fun graphic. We'll skip through just because I have a lot of info and only 5 minutes. Our business model is we make money in 3 different ways. We sell the charging hub, so we get a hardware upfront fee. There's a monthly cellular data plan because these connect to multiple different mobile apps like our own, the Commute Charge app for personally owned vehicles, and also for hub owners to manage their charging hubs. And then we also connect with like a Bird app, a Lime app, a Spin, etc. So that way their vehicles can see where charging hubs are, see parking availability, and be able to use the infrastructure. There's 3 different pieces of the ecosystem, if you will. The charging hub itself, which is pretty self-explanatory, and then there's what's called the vehicle adapter, which is the standard locking and charging interface that goes on the front or back in some cases of the scooters and bikes to give that standard interface for both locking and charging. And then our Commute Charge app, like I mentioned, it's a tool for hub owners and for personally owned users to access the charging hubs as well. In terms of our product and where it stands today and where it's going in the future, we have a really solid way to organize the scooter clutter and, very intuitive with the new status lights and other features that we've added. And then, furthermore, this year we brought back 4G connectivity and mobile app unlocking. And then later this year, we are working on the variable charging piece, which truly allows us to be universal and change the voltage of what different vehicles need depending on this scooter, that e-bike. They all have different needs power-wise. Again, just highlighting, very easy to use. So you simply just roll in, and if you want a demo after the presentations, feel free to come grab me. I'll be hanging out by the charging hub after this. And it comes in a variety of different sizes. So this is a 2x1 hub. So again, pretty easy. It's 2x1. There's a 2x2, which is, basically 2 of these bolted together, and a 2x3 in case you're looking for 6 ports or parking spots. And then you can either unlock the vehicle with a handy-dandy push button right there or the mobile app, as I've mentioned. And then custom signage, as we have learned, we actually launched hubs without signage, and we ran into a lot of issues in terms of user education. So we offer signage now that you can brand to your apartment, your hotel, your corporate campus, etc. And again, we fit a variety of different vehicles, and right now I believe we support about 15 across scooters, bikes, and wheelchair. Here's our team. I won't go into it, but they're all very smart, and we have a few other engineers that are not mentioned here, but way smarter than me, and they should be mentioned on here, so I apologize to them. All right. Well, appreciate it. And if you have any questions, looking forward to those, and feel free to come grab me after if you have any additional questions. Thank you. Awesome. So hold on to this.
Thank you. Hi, really nice presentation and great product. Thank you for sharing that. I was curious about, just to make sure, if I understand it correctly, you still have that human element of taking it from where they're riding it and putting it on there. Is that right?
So like a Bird or a Lime, they can actually incentivize their riders to bring it back to a charging hub. So they can provide maybe a credit towards their next ride, or maybe some type of point system that eventually adds up to some type of reward.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's on the end user to figure that out.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. I was just curious because you talked about the clutter, right? That's how you open up like
Yeah.
your big mission to.
Yeah.
So that was the only like small disconnect I had is like I could see how you'd be a great service certainly for many applications. I was just really curious about if you'd truly figured out ways to get those things to come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's a great question, and I'll make sure in future presentations to clarify that a little bit more.
Thank you. Really enjoyed it though. Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
A great presentation, certainly needed. You said it supports about 15 devices or different scooters, or give me a feel. Is that 30% of the population of devices, 50%? How much are you covering?
So the vehicles we support are across some of the more popular brands and models, from Segway to the wheelchair to this is a pretty popular rentable fleet scooter that fleets will buy and utilize in their fleet from Acton. So we try to target somewhat of the top 2 to 3 brands that usually cover, at least in the shared fleet space, about 90% of the vehicles. But on the personally owned side, it's a little bit different. And that's kind of a newer side for us that we're still trying to understand which vehicles are the right ones to support early on.
And can you just talk about the subscription revenue? Like, give me a feel for what that would generate or how much that would cost.
Sure. So, for example, we sell this charging hub, or charging hubs cost, or we sell them for anywhere from about $3,000 to about $7,000 US. And then there's a $75 per month per hub cellular data plan. And those are the two pieces that make up our revenue streams.
So on a similar note, do you work with the OEMs for the scooters to make the vehicle adapter fit, or is it plug and play?
Yes. So each adapter is specifically designed for that make and model. So we work directly with Segway, Acton, Okai, Will to have basically first-party support for their vehicles, and we're continuing to work with others as we continue this process.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't mention what's your ask here in this group.
So we are raising a small bridge round, and we were going to be raising $500K, so a small bridge round for us. We have $350 committed and actually in the bank already. Convertible note, so pretty standard, straightforward. And then later this year, we're doing a larger Series A round. So if you're interested in that as well, definitely get in touch and we can talk further details on both the convertible note and future rounds.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It seems like you're taking up a full parking spot in that. Why not stagger the chargers a little bit and have it on each side? Or did I miss it?
So you can kind of see.
Couldn't you put it on one unit though? Like you have one pole, and that would decrease your manufacturing costs substantially if you just staggered them a little bit to double up your density.
So there are codes and regulations on the width between ports because they're considered outlets.
Okay.
So we are pretty much riding the edge of what we can do, but then also there's a lot of stuff in that tube that to get it to a point where we can do the alternate side hub. It would take it'll take a lot more additional engineering, which we are working on different things to minimize it on the inside, but there's a lot going on in there.
Okay.
Do you have any current customers?
Yes. So we have sold, right now we're live in several states here in the US and a few smaller projects in Canada. For example, last week we just sold 10 hubs to luxury apartments in DC. We just sold, actually today, 2 more 2x3 hubs to a project down in Ohio. So we got customers going and we're happy about that. Thank you.
Just kind of like falling in and out when you were talking earlier. All right, so is this one a little bit better?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so what we got this moment, steps after life. You are next. Welcome. You are a jack of trades. You know that? For those of you who don't know, this is Jonah. He works over at Atomic Object. He's one of our partners. And then my other partner is in the back there. That's Michael Spass from Capnic.
Oh, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so actually, I'll give this one to you. Okay. All right, and whenever you guys are ready.
All right. Awesome. Can we give a round of applause for Commute real quick? So to kind of get a lay of the land, our business is completely different than anything you probably have heard or seen at this point in time. So we want to kind of get a little gauge. Who has experienced the loss of a loved one, close family member, or attended a funeral, let's call it in the last 24 months or so? Just kind of get a gauge. Okay, a few of you. So this is a different business. This
Hi,
is my
everyone.
wife, Diana Milan.
I'm Diana Milan, and George and I started Steps After Life because of personal experience. I lost my father recently, and George lost 4 family members within 18 months, and we were left to handle paperwork, frustration, and in all of that, we had lack of time to do everything. So our goal and our mission is to support families and to help them navigate the emotional, logistical, and all the financial challenges that come with a death. So you go to the funeral home, you set up the funeral, whether it be traditional or cremation, and from there you have your service, you have your memorial, and then you go home, and you're left with grief, and you're left with handling the mounds of stress that come with a death.
When that happens, there's a lot of things that come next. For a lot of families, you'll see there's 420 plus hours that someone has to deal with taking care of the family member that has passed. If you think about it, if you're employed right now, it's taking time away from your career. It's taking time away from your family members. It's taking money away from your family. It's also one of the most impactful things because when you get on the phone, you have to handle VA if somebody was a veteran, Social Security benefits, life insurance, 401k, pension, bank account closures, transfers, probate. If somebody owns a home, you've got to transfer it. So what we've done is we've revolutionized this space and really taken a different approach in making sure that people pre-plan and also for folks that have or experiencing post-planning. You'll see right here, 25% of families experience what we consider identity theft. 800,000 people that die a year, so their identity is stolen. And 80% of the families don't know what to do next. So we take all of those confusing, complex moments, we use human empathy and technology to integrate into our platform. And I do want to give a shout out really quick. We have our CTO, Calvin G., and then Cal Hanna, our VP of Business Development. If we can give them a round of applause, because they really have done a great job. And what we've started to do is we've built out our platform to take on what we consider our prepaid resolution. You can take on all of these things. We can vault all of the information up front. That way, when you or a loved one passes, you don't have to scramble. You don't have to worry about all of those things. You don't have to worry about all of that time. We handle that all for you.
And then on our next slide, this is one of the examples.
Hello. I was wondering if I could get my late husband's name off our credit card account. I have the death certificate and I couldn't find out where I'm supposed to fill out a form. So could you help me? Yes, I'll hold. Oh, hello. My late husband was on this account. I have the death certificate and I need to get his information off the account. Can you help? Yes, I'll hold. Can you help me with changing my late husband's name off my account? Oh, I have to call that number? It's a different number? Can you give me that number? Hello? Hello?
So this is just a small example of the hundreds and thousands of people that deal with something very similar. And instead of the family sitting on the phones with all the creditors and all the banks and all the VA and Social Security, we do that for the family. So we repeat everything that's on that death certificate instead of them having to do it each time and them being reminded and them just having to relive everything all over again. We handle it for the families, and everything that is under that decedent's name, we close for the family.
The last piece is there's 3.3 million people that pass away a year. 52% of them have a life insurance policy, and 37% of them have an estate or a trust. And that's what we've started to build, is to protect families when they lose somebody, and to also take care of the families when they lose someone. So thank you so much. We want to be under time. And there we go. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
You said it takes an average family 420 hours to deal with this stuff, basically. How long does it take you guys and what is your cost per hour of labor to do that?
Great question. So on average, it's taking us about 30-ish hours, depending on the family. Takes us about a tenth of the time. And the reason why is because we know who to call, where to call, where a lot of families don't know where to call and who to call. So that's the first plan.
So your cost is $1,800. Your cost is $1,800. So 30 hours, you're going to make $60 an hour. Your margin on that can't be that great then.
So we're paying our concierges on a per client basis. So my profit in terms, I can talk to you offline about how the profit is. But yeah, we're charging $1,700, but it costs me 30 hours of work. But I'm charging my concierges one fee. So my client concierges charge one time.
And they're offshore, I assume?
Pardon?
They're offshore?
No.
Okay.
United States. We use a one client basis. Yeah.
Speak up.
So we have a limited power of attorney. We become the representative. We have a limited power of attorney that we do have them sign, and they've authorized us to be able to do so. We have a document that we send out to the creditors to cancel the account and do those things. Absolutely.
If you're willing to enable, so I'm really curious to hear about your traction. How long have you guys been in market? And
Yeah, great question. So we've been in market, let's call it, for the last 16 months, but we really started after building and scaling the business and making sure it's done right. We didn't want to scale too fast because this is such a delicate process. Diana's done such a great job taking care of some of the clients as the business owner of this whole thing, but we're scaling slow to make sure. We talked about 12 families at this point in time, some pro bono, because they don't have the money to be able to do so, so it takes us a lot of extra time. So we're building and scaling from there to make sure it's done right the first time and not having to do a bad job. Our reputation is more important than the rest right now.
oh, sorry.
Where does the software fit in?
So the software is, I don't give that back to those guys back there.
So, I mean, if you have an Amex card, basically we streamline the entire process for our concierges to essentially have a customer relationship management system for our clients. It allows us to have communication all into one single hub. And we work with partners to integrate with their systems to streamline the cancellations, that process, get data, and honestly looking at LLMs to process that data even faster. But so that's kind of where we're at with that technology piece. Thank you.
How are you finding your customers and clients?
Right now, we're working directly with funeral homes. So once they work with a family, they'll direct the family over to us afterwards. And we work with hospice centers across the U.S. as well.
So we have a business-to-business to consumer, and then we have a direct-to-consumer strategy as well, which is our policy, which is 1 before, which is, I don't know if the gentleman can walk away, but as families come in, if we pre-plan, it takes that time from 30 hours down to a few hours, because I know where every bank account is, I know where every life insurance is, I know all that, so I know what the pension is, I know what the bank accounts are. So we can streamline that process to make it so much.
All right. Thank you so much. That was fun. Okay. Next in the lineup, Ultima. Oh, hey there. Which one would you prefer? Do you both want to?
That one, if that's okay. Do it. All right. Cool. All right, let's get started. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for having us here. I'm Noah Jacobs. This is Noah Cox. Again, thank you for just having us. And great presentation so far. I'm sure the next two will be phenomenal as well. So we are Ultima Insights, and we are automating equity research using, you guessed it, large language models, very popular right now. And each year, financial analysts in the United States make $38 billion. Massive market size, of course. We're trying to take a sliver of that. So if you don't know a whole lot about equity research analysts, these are individuals who really do value their time. One who I was talking to, that way, cool. So one who I was talking to actually gave me this data set. It looks like a nightmare to process because really it is. Before I get into exactly what that is, to really give you context as to how valuable the time is, I have anecdotal evidence of a hedge fund spending $10,000 for a 30-minute conversation with an analyst. I'm surprised I was even able to get anybody on the phone, but Michigan alumni, so I guess that's the Michigan difference. Go blue. Anyways, this data set right here is from a large pharmacy company in the United States. And each one of these rows is the scripts written by drug. With this information, you can really determine what revenue is in advance. Not perfectly, but you can get a rough estimate. The analyst spends hours each quarter processing this file and many other files like it. Ultima Insights is turning those hours into minutes. That's what we call dynamic data, and this is another example of that dynamic data. This is a table found in a 10K, a financial report. This information may seem not relevant, but it's from a construction company, and it's called backlog. Backlog is work committed to a construction company, and I ran some statistical analysis after spending many hours myself going through quarterly reports and regressing that against the company's revenue. And for you non-stats buffs out there, that R-square of 0.86 is really quite high and indicates that you can explain 86%, watered down version, but explain 86% of the company's variance in revenue with that number. This is really just the start, though. Ultima Insights is looking to automate that sort of research and anything we call dynamic data, which are these tables that right now are really difficult to read with large language models. This table, that table, and bringing the analysis to a much quicker pace to save these analysts a lot of time and a lot of heartburn. We're doing this with news as well, and I'll pass it off to Noah to continue here.
Thank you. So there's obviously we're not the only people to think of this. So the question is, why would we have some sort of edge? The answer is a lot of people building and using large language models to really automate investment research and finance, which is where we're trying to go, are kind of around Noah and I's age, maybe plus, say, 5-10 years. We're both 22, just graduated 3 weeks ago, right? But what these people don't have, I think, which is what Noah and I really try to emphasize, is a passion among ourselves and everybody else in our group. So the group of us involved have started a hedge fund The two technical guys on the team have already 9 patents in machine learning and artificial intelligence, and they're ages 22 and 24. And what we're really trying to do with our program is say, we think we have an advantage in the market, maybe not long, maybe just for a few months, but we want to really embolden this advantage and really help get in with equity research analysts based on the conversations we've had with them and really define a moat in this market and process information to save them time. At the end of the day, investment research is about connecting the dots. Large language models and what we're doing at Ultimate Insights, using artificial intelligence, looking at dynamic data that firms even like Bloomberg aren't looking at, we think we can help give these people an edge, save them time, and at the end of the day, really save them money. You go to the last slide. At the end of the day, we're looking for 2 things. One is advice from you guys, and the second is we're working on closing an angel round right now. So we're raising about $250,000, and the goal is to really take this data, work with equity research analysts, and process this information. So we appreciate you coming out today, and we look forward to questions. Thank you.
And one quick add too, sorry. If you know any equity research analysts, we would love introductions to them as well. That's part of the ask there. Thank you.
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing is we're first doing a B2B2C place. We're working with firms that sell to more of a consumer audience. We're adding value to them because they know these are existing brokerage platforms, existing research platforms. An example is a partnership we signed last month with OpenBB, so they're an open source Bloomberg terminal. We know these firms have to implement artificial intelligence into their research platforms in order to be relevant to help investors in the future. Artificial intelligence will become necessary to do equity research and stock picking. So we're starting with them, and then to your point exactly, we're working on a SaaS model much like Bloomberg would with these equity research analysts. And what we think is so exciting is this is a group of people that already is willing to pay for data and technology and information. So some groups, as you try to convince them, you have to convince them to pay. We think this group already has a strong willingness to pay.
Sure. So we're still working on an exact solution to that, but we think it's very possible to silo the information they give us in their own vector store that's not communicated with any outside sources. Thank you.
Thank you. So are you guys consultants or are you making a product?
Yeah, so we're making a software solution that essentially allows equity research analysts to the privacy standpoint to essentially get their own workstation going using underlying software we develop, but they can upload whatever proprietary software, or not software, proprietary documents, information, data they've collected as an investor over the years and put it into our large language model to have a conversation with. But one of the things we're really trying to work on is the fact that their data will not train and make someone else's equity research better. A lot of firms are saying we're not going to allow ChatGPT in the office for that reason.
It's kind of the thing we question whether we're consulting their software. In the long run, we do want to be software scalable. We're working on a way to make this scalable so any data set hypothetically can be processed into the language model. But right now with that script set, I just got that about a week ago, and I'm working on a way to process that very specific data set for the analyst to create value for him as soon as possible.
So I've got 2 questions for you. One is, so who, it's not clear to me as to who your final customer is. Is it the equity analyst or is it the hedge fund or investment group? Okay. And then how are you making sure that the language model is your product or the analysis is your product, or what is it you focus on?
Analysis is ultimately the product. We think the language model is the vehicle to get there most robustly, so to speak, where right now I can do an analysis on that script count, but actually making a really scalable product, that's where the language model comes in, where it can do analysis better than I can, better than the research analyst can, and it scales very well. So we're making sure that we have a scalable solution there, so we're taking our time with it. We don't want to rush in. We think a lot of the existing solutions on the market are kind of gimmicky and don't necessarily, we can talk offline about that if you want, but don't necessarily really penetrate to what the analyst cares about. Corey?
Are you working with a specific LLM, or are you going to potentially try different ones to see which works best with the solution you're trying to create?
We're going to play around with them. Right now we're using GPT. Of course, it's, the name brand as of the moment, but we're going to experiment with it and possibly, if we have enough funding, bring our own in-house as well.
one of the places we really plan to integrate from that point, because that's a really good question, and we had a conversation before about that, but what we're trying to do, to your exact point, is really make sure that the firms we integrate with, we add value to their end product, right? So equity research analysts, we're adding value to the end product, which is the research report they're selling to hedge funds. Or if we're going this B2B2C play, helping them build a better investment research platform. And that comes from the fact that OpenAI is not going to sit down with a lot of these companies and say, let me do a custom software integration with you. Because at the end of the day, they're a however many billion-dollar company that's effectively a subsidiary of Microsoft. That's not their incentive. What we're trying to do is say, let me sit down with this customer. Let me take this software that we're going to build that can ingest all sorts of data that we think is an edge in the market. But let me make sure this software is tailored to this end user in a way that makes the product they're producing a value add, and in such a niche focus that the big firms like OpenAI and Google's models and Anthropic, for example, they just won't have a reason to partner with these people.
To some extent, it's a trust thing too. Because a lot of these individuals won't say, "Oh, I'm going to use AI right now." But if we come to them knowing about the space and saying, "Hey, we've done this with this person. You know what your output is, your desired output. We'll get you there." Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. All right, so we've got the next one coming up here, RevKeep. Dude, I love those shoes. Do you think they make them in my... I was like, yeah, that's an interesting... I like the getup. All right, which one would you prefer here?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Lasser. Had about 2-hour drive time, windshield time, so I had a lot to think about as my attorney gets nervous. I started my first business in Southfield, Michigan. I was 9 years old. It may have been the best business I ever had. So basically what I'd do is I'd buy pops. That's what you call pops. They're not soda. You call them pops in Detroit. And I'd double the price to the kids playing baseball. And then I'd take my profits and I would ride my bike to 7-Eleven and get a big-ass Slurpee. And boy, those Slurpees must have been good because I keep starting businesses. So morph to today, I've had a couple of nice exits. One of them was my telehealth company. I started telehealth 12, 15 years ago before anybody else was doing it. Had a very nice exit on that. And I'm not one to retire. I'm up 20 hours a day. And I think I'm up 20 hours a day because I don't want to miss anything. I don't know. But anyway, so I started investing in small business, startups. And my motto was this: if a VC didn't want to do it, come see me. That was my motto. And I've done quite well, actually. I don't do it anymore, but I did with Wearology. And she didn't have a VC that came into her deal. I loved Gina. I loved what she was doing. And now she has two of the largest healthcare systems in the country. So this is one of the companies I invested in. It wasn't called RevKeep at the time. And so what is RevKeep? Let's talk about something fun, my sciatica surgery. So I had sciatica surgery about 3 years ago. So you go, you give them your insurance card, you leave, it's $70,000. Providence Hospital gets paid $70,000, right? Typically 2 weeks later, there's a thing called an electronic health record system, right? And it's closed, right? Book is closed. It's over, right? It's not over. It's not. There's a thing called a post-payment audit, and it affects 5% of a hospital's revenue. And we have a electronic health record system for post-payment audits. What hospitals are using today are Excel spreadsheets. Our biggest competition is Excel spreadsheets and apathy. That really is it. So I don't know, that's my only slide. I'm so impressed by everybody else's slides, by the way, but that's my only slide. So I know you're not here to hear me talk. Is anybody a VP of RevCycle at a hospital? Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, so that's really who I sell to. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Why did you do this idea?
I invested in it, and I was a 3-time investor. And, I did my due diligence, and I kept doing my due diligence. And he said, this could be really big. And I said, yeah, who's going to run it? And he said, you. And I said, I'm not doing anything. That's awesome. That's really why I did it. And I love it, and it's bigger than telehealth. and my attorney knows, what's happened in the last 2 months at our company tells me that. So, anyway. Any other questions? I can talk to you privately about that. Matt, you have an NDA? Some really good stuff.
Why is your attorney here?
That's what I asked him. I'm like, why are you here? And he said, I'm buying you drinks. I'm like, okay, good. That's good. But then I found out he's buying other people drinks too. He's just a good guy. Same. No, hospitals, if you knew a hospital IT department and hospital infrastructure, the fanciest word I could come up with is they use plastic dog shit. I'm sorry, that's what they use. It's garbage what they use, and it's because they have IT directors who are constantly flipping. They have security people who won't let anything in.
All right, so how do you plan on implementing this?
It's already implemented. We're doing it now. It's
How's
SaaS.
that?
It's a SaaS model.
So how does that look?
ROI. I have a mathematical brain, so when I just do an ROI, and we love the model we love more than anything is we'll put it in for 3 months, we'll agree to a percentage saved, and we get a percentage saved. Most people won't do that because they're going to end up paying me more.
So thinking through that, who would be, are you actively working through this right now with current customers?
Yes.
And how are those cycles working?
Yeah, it's really long to close a hospital. The bigger the hospital,
absolutely.
the longer it takes. I used to have your hair color, and then I started working with hospitals. This is what it turned, almost overnight.
So my future, huh?
Yeah, this is your future.
Got it.
You said 5% of the industry hospitals are on. What's that?
So $1 billion. So U of M is what? 5 billion. So 5% of that.
Just U of M. So
Yes.
What's the
Oh, it's multi-billions. I mean, it's huge. And nobody cares about it. And I could tell you, there's a reason nobody else cares about it. It's a niche market.
It's really hard. Oi, Olmsted had her hand up first.
It's a great, so regional hospitals go really quick because we make it really convenient and easy. We talk to the VP of Rev Cycle and it just goes quick because there's not much risk for them. The bigger hospitals could be a year. Because the worst part about hospitals right now is the amount of time it takes security and IT to give you a document they already have. You could wait 6 to 9 months for this document that's a standard document and you're just waiting for it. It's a great question though.
Boston.
Are you sticking with hospitals, or are you thinking about looking at other healthcare systems that are exposed to?
I'm a huge believer in north-south. Pick a lane, and there's plenty of hospitals. However, one of the largest post-acute provider in the country called us and said, we have this huge problem, we understand, so of course we're working with them. We didn't seek them though. So it's really what we say is providers, healthcare providers, and the volume we're looking for is basically 700 million and above, where it matters. If you're a small hospital, you don't get enough of these audits, you don't care.
But you were just talking about you were working more with small hospitals.
No, regional hospitals, $1 billion.
Okay.
A regional hospital in my world is $1 billion.
So systems, really big
Yeah, the big
strategic
systems. Although the systems could use it more than anything because they're all siloed, and each one doesn't know what the next one's doing. When we did this pilot with McLaren Hospital, we found over $3 million of audits in somebody's desk who was on vacation. You lose everything you don't reply to, and you lose it if you don't reply in time.
I think sometimes we ought to also educate what does that system look like and how many people are actually facilitating that many transactions, right? And so there's these limitations of also, it's a bandwidth of people, which is the challenge, on top of the whole concept on top of that.
The hardest thing, not to interrupt you, is we talk to people who start crying on the phone, and their boss is on the phone, and because they want to do a good job, and they can't handle the volume. And they start crying on the phone, and the boss is like, I could see this in the next year. It's like, this poor person just broke down crying. They want to do a good job. They can't handle it. You're losing millions of dollars, and you're telling me a year?
Oop, there you go.
Anyway.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. And so last week, I'm sitting in the incubator, and there's these people that like stop by, and they're like gathering the paper things, and Doug's like, and we go outside, and we have some visitors who are visiting from Singapore, and they are so awesome to share their idea, and it was pretty exciting. So I'm excited for this pitch. So I'm so excited to have you all. So thanks. Better contacts.
Hi guys, I'm Jason, and I'm here with Sophie Hope. We are Better Context AI. So I'm going to hand it over to Sophie. We just came to Michigan. We're loving Michigan. Spent 10 years abroad, and I'll be answering questions at the end. So go ahead, Sophie.
Hi, I'm Sophie Hope, and I'm here with my co-founder Jason, and we're here to present our AI company called Better Context AI. So in a nutshell,
maybe bring it closer. I think it's a little bit hard to hear.
All right. So in a nutshell, great. So in a nutshell, we are building a contextual AI that learns about your customer in great details, and then creates highly specific content, and then it gets smarter the more you use it. So just a quick question for everybody in this room. Have you ever used ChatGPT? Can you raise your hand? Wow. All right. So have you encountered any problem with ChatGPT when you ask a question and then you saw the answer tends to be repetitive? Raise your hand, please. All right. Or you see that the answer is pretty general. Like you ask a question and then you saw the answer is pretty general. Not you try to get to a specific answer, but it's kept giving you that general answer. Raise your hand if you have that. Okay. Or sometimes it gave you actually an incorrect answer, or it said, sorry, I don't have the information you asked for. Raise your hand if you have that. Okay. So now let's switch it to if you have a highly skilled journalist, and let's see what would a highly skilled journalist do differently than ChatGPT. For example, creating content for you, the journalist would sit down with you and ask you questions to learn more about your ideal audience or ideal buyer persona, and then he or she will actually go and read your prior content, prior article that you publish on your website, and then they will research facts, and then they will write very specific content, accurate content that will resonate with your buyer persona, and then help them to buy from you. So that's what a highly skilled journalist would do. Now, the question is, can an AI follow the same process of a good journalist? The answer is yes. At Better Context AI, we are creating that contextual AI that actually will learn about your customers and then follow that same process, follow that same workflows that a good journalist would do for your company. So I'll just take an example. So we put in Spark website, and we'll give it an input to Better Context AI. Immediately, it studies the content on the website and find out these are the topics that your website is writing about, and these are the list of potential buyer personas that your website, your content could be talking to. Now, specifically, it then went in and then picture out, visualizing a specific buyer persona. I call them entrepreneurial Emily. Emily is passionate about starting and growing a successful business in Ann Arbor. This is, by the way, based on real-time information of your website, of Spark's website, while contributing to the economic development and sustainability of the region. It actually outputs her goals, her dreams, and hopes, and fear. More than that, Better Context AI would then go on and find out the list of questions and ideas that Emily cares about. For example, what is the Advance Your Business program? What is the purpose of grant program? Or how much funding is available through the grant program? Then, what a journalist would do after that is to research fact, for example, to answer this question, and write this kind of specific and accurate content. For example, it's mentioned Ann Arbor Spark is a leading economic development organization in Michigan, and then finds the fact that there's a $21 billion in grants that pouring into it. So this is the output by using, one of the outputs by using contextual AI. So you met Eddie, the AI journalist. When you move forward, you could actually have an AI strategist who can plan your content, who research different buyer personas for your website, for your companies, and then decides what to write next that will resonate with that buyer persona. You can have an AI and SEO analyst who can look at your content, look at ranking and performance and keyword research, and make sure that your rankings are in good shape. And you can have an AI business analyst who monitors your content performance and suggests different plans to either defend your content if it sees your content lost last month, or help you to accelerate, provide different suggestions to accelerate your content. So that's the end of our presentation. If you are interested in seeing a demo, live demo, real demo with your website or with your content, with your business, reach out to us, and we have 30 spots, right, Jake? Yeah, we have 30 spots open for Ann Arbor, so we'll welcome anybody who can shoot us an email or fill out a request on our website, and would love to hear your feedback. Thanks.
Help me solve?
What problems in life? So if you're a business, there's two problems that I think you are probably facing. The first one is that a lot of the knowledge about your business is locked inside the heads of your frontline sales, your product people, maybe your marketing people, and they might leave. So the Better Context AI, we just gave an example here, but it will actually start to interview your staff and build that knowledge into the contextual data warehouse. So over time, the Better Context data warehouse is going to keep getting better and better and better at knowing who your ideal customers are, what their questions are, and how to sell to them. And even if people leave your business, you'll have that central contextual data warehouse, which is what's missing from GPT. Nobody else will have that. That's unique to your business. That's your secret sauce.
I think the results are really impressive. I'm just wondering, do you have your own LLM on the background? Are you planning on trying to compete with that, or are you using one of the large open available ones right now?
Yeah, so the kind of the not so short answer, but I'll make it short, is I'm a data science and AI expert. I used to work for Citibank and I ran a team of PhDs. So we built like models that essentially outperformed all the banking risk prediction models, in the entire US. So that's the background we're bringing to this problem. And so we just do what works. So right now, it's a lot of data pre-processing and very specific data structures that are missing from any other large language model. So large language model is kind of a very small piece of it. It's a lot of other things that are just not being utilized.
And I don't mean to take up too much time, but I think it's really relevant. How, again, do you plan on competing with the knowledge base integrations that are going to be coming into most of the modern products?
Yeah, so the critical thing is not the actual model. That's what I also learned in working for Citibank and running risk management. It's actually the data that's missing. So the missing data is where the value is. And the missing data is actually in the heads of the people that work for you. So like, for example, let's say you have a salesperson named Sam, and Sam has 10 years experience selling to your customer. No large language model in the world knows what Sam knows. So our better context is going to interview Sam every day, every week, maybe with just a few questions, get him to say what he knows, what he thinks are the concerns, keep storing that. That's your competitive advantage.
Maybe you've just answered it, but is that extraction interview through an app? Is it studying phone logs or email logs that Sam is creating and pulling out data? How are you collecting that information from the knowledge experts?
Yes. The short answer is yes. We start by ingesting, we can ingest video, so we can actually connect into like videos you have, even Zoom calls. If he's doing sales calls, we can ingest that. So like imagine you just plug in your sales team, all their phone calls that they've done. We can learn about your customers from that. We can actually set up proactive interview schedules with Sam once a week, and that can be like an email that he answers. And we have a database of all the things he said about different customer problems. That could be text-based. So it's multimodal, and we're very agnostic. We just want to get the job done. Let's get Sam to share what he knows.
Sam just got really annoyed from all these emails, and he put a bunch of crap in instead because he was tired of your system. Can you filter that?
So firstly, yes. The way we filter that, firstly, we don't do tons of emails. You can self-pace. You can say I want or I don't want. Secondly, we have a leaderboard, so you can have teams in your company competing for who's contributing the most knowledge about the customer, and it's like a trivia night. Third, yes, we can filter it because when you answer a question, then the rest of the team blindly gets to say thumbs up or thumbs down, and you get feedback. And more than that, I'll just say one last thing about this. When you answer a question, you can opt to be included in an article that's published. So the article will be published and say, hey, Sam, we used a quote about the customer from your customer. There's other things we do to make it more fun. So yeah. So customer acquisition, race to market. So we have connections with 300 agencies globally right now. We run one of the largest content marketing summits in the world. We have 10,000 attendees a year. So we just launched a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer Network here, partnering with the Chief Marketing Officer Network in the UK. So we're more like partner-centric. And then we're releasing like this ideal buyer persona at a very low price. So we want everyone to try it out and see, do you know who your ideal buyers are? And are you actually talking to them? So that can be like something that can just spread.
Real quick, I'm Sam. I'm the salesperson. I don't want you to take my information because I know what you're going to do it if you're going to replace it. How do you make sure it's the most authentic and genuine without replacing the salesperson?
The salesperson is to sell, right? So I'll just answer this very, very quickly. You as a salesperson want your name to be mentioned in the company as frequently as you can. That's job security. If the company's producing articles and you're being mentioned regularly, you're a much more valuable commodity to that business and to everyone else in the world. If you're not visible in any articles because you've never been interviewed, you're missing out. You're not getting, you're not getting the highest, earning the highest salary you can. Great question. Probably.
All right, let's give a hand off. Sophie, I didn't expect all that. You've been so quiet. That was a really good pitch. Good job. All right, hands up. Thank you for our sponsor. Final another again. But also for our housery, for 4M. Thank you for housing us. Appreciate. And if you are interested, this is kind of like the closing point. If you are looking for a job, or you are a company trying to recruit talent, or you're just here to say hi is what you're doing, this is that time to come up and say hi to everybody. So I gotta give that, let's give that a few minutes here, or seconds, I mean, don't hold back, Spath, you coming up? All right.
Thanks everyone for coming out. I'm with Jonah and Margarita, one of the executive directors here. You guys all did a great job. Fantastic. Kevin, you did not drop the F word, so I'm sure Matt was happy with that. Yeah, venue is a great place. They have an outdoor, section that's now open. If you guys want to check that out, they have events. They apparently had the Whitmore Lake Prom here, like last weekend, which we just learned. That's what the curtain was for. Stick around if you guys want to have dinner. It's open till 10 o'clock, I believe. So join us. And then, if you're interested, if you are a startup or you have a startup idea and you would like to pitch here or present here in a future month, just find Marguerite, myself, or Jonah. We are working on something to put on our phones where you can just scan it and then it'll lead to the whole form to fill out, but we're not there yet. But just let us know and we'll get you the link and that you guys can fill it out. We've got most of the schedule for June already filled. But we're looking for July, August, and beyond. And again, it's always the third Tuesday of the month. So we'd love for you guys to come out and present.
Wait, we got one more. Austin, you're one of my favorite peoples.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Margarita, for the event. I haven't been to one of these in a while, but they're always fantastic. Just seeing what everyone's working on. I run the International Game Developers Association, the Ann Arbor chapter. Not really a state known for a whole lot of game dev or XR, but there is a surprising number of companies, startups doing amazing things in those spaces. We have a meetup that happens once a month, so this is just a community announcement. Next Thursday, Nathan Hainish, who is the lead engineer at Stardock, our largest game development studio in the state, is going to be giving a talk, 60 AI tools in 60 minutes. I'm not sure how he's going to cover all of those. But if you've been using ChatGPT, there are a lot of other really, really cool tools and services out there for creating awesome art, media, and stuff like that. Okay, so IGDA, and maybe we'll see you next time. Okay? Oh, it is Thursday, and it's going to be at Ann Arbor Spark from 6 to 10. Okay?
It's consistent every third Thursday. And then on Friday, if you are, I always have to ask Austin, is it okay to call them gamers? But there's also game dev sessions that they do. There's honestly, we are under the rock you look under, and there's a whole bunch of gaming, but for exponential reality, mixed reality, augmented reality. It's actually a wonderful community just for the gaming in general. So go check it out. There's always really cool things kind of happening with that entire ecosystem. Thanks, Austin. Last comment. Yes, you may not know that someone's going to be pitching, but if you know somebody who is interested in our ecosystem and what we got here, please bring them over. Yeah, I'm going to leave that responsibility to all of you. All right, with that, we're going to close it up. Thanks so much for coming out. Appreciate it. Have a good night.